Hey everybody, it's ZDoggMD. Check it out. I'm live to the whole page because this is something I wanted to talk about. It's important to kind of all of our jobs and lives and how we do things on social media. It involves professionalism, it involves HIPAA, it involves being respectful to patients, and also how we bully each other, particularly in nursing, which, as we know, is rife with lateral violence and bullying. So there is a nurse, Joshua Strickland, who contacted me, and actually after being on Jessica Seitz's show, Advice with Jessica Seitz, it's a nurse who interviewed him. It's a great interview if you want to see the full details of this. So Nurse Strickland had just started a job in a psychiatric facility and was rounding on his new patients, somebody with depression, and he said basically denied homicidal ideation, asked if there was anything else he could do, and the patient said, yes, you can F off and die. At which point he said, yes, ma'am, I'll try my best, we'll continue to monitor. And posted an image of himself kind of going, huh? With stuff, the barcode and stuff blurred out, and pretty much everything looking kind of a little defocused. Didn't look like any HIPAA violation. Posted it on Nurses with Cards, which is a group, I believe, on Facebook. Big group. Got a lot of engagement, kind of went viral because it's hilarious about how you respond when patients are, verbally abusive, especially in psychiatry. Now, was it a great idea on the first day of your job to post something like this on a public forum? Because we think these forums are closed and this and that. Nonsense. Okay, anyone can see this, can take a screen cap, can share it with anybody. And guess what happened? Some other nurse on the group blew up the image behind him, which was a logo of the hospital that he worked in, sent it to his facility in Arizona, basically narked him out and said, look what your guy's doing. This thing went viral. And so the next day he goes in, or whenever it was, and HR's there and the leadership's there, and they're like, listen, this thing went viral. We need to talk about this. You're not fired. Don't worry. They come back a little later. Actually, you're fired because corporate overrode us, and apparently you can't use their logo, misuse their logo. Okay. So much here, right? So much here. Number one, was it appropriate for him to do this, especially on the first day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Well, it turns out there is a whole engine on Instagram, on Facebook, of taking these stories and making them viral. Why? Because it's actually good for the public and for ourselves to understand what we deal with as healthcare professionals. As long as you're not singling out a patient, you're not violating HIPAA, you're not making fun of or abusing a patient in any way, and typically you're not identifying your organization, other things like that. Well, it's still not a great idea if your goal is to keep your job and you just started. So probably not the best move to worry about social media when this is happening. Now, I'm guilty of it because I use stories to illustrate larger points in a bigger movement. So the bottom line is, maybe not the best idea, but is it something you should be fired for? And this is where it gets interesting, because that's a whole discussion in itself. I think no. I think we should be able to express ourselves in a closed forum among friends without violating HIPAA and while still being relatively professional, which I think Joshua was. But a bigger question is, who the F is the nurse who ratted him out? Who does that? And this has become an issue on ZPAC, Tribe Talk Forum. It's become an issue on social media in general, that nurses are their own worst enemy when it comes to bullying and lateral violence. Can you imagine going on social media, seeing someone post something, blowing up the logo, sending it to their employer, and getting them fired and going to bed at night feeling good about yourself? That's what this nurse bully did. And that's abjectly BS. I think if they figure out who did that, that person should be unhireable in all 50 states and Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia, because it shows that you're a spiteful, horrible, terrible person, period. And you shouldn't be in a profession where you're taking care of other people. Now, we all know that colleague of yours or ours, we all know doctors and nurses and, dietitians and people who behave like this. I call it stick up your assitis. There's something wrong with them mentally, right? But what are the lessons in this? Okay, number one, understand that everything you post on social media is public for the world. I've made my share of mistakes in the past and have tried to fix them. It does happen. I, however, have nothing to lose. In fact, it is my job, roughly, to do this. So who's going to fire me, right? But the second thing is, if you're going to have this sort of culture where we can't let off steam, we can't use satire, we can't tell stories, what's going to happen? We're going to internalize this struggle. Because clearly Joshua was like a good nurse, and it's just like, oh, I guess I'm getting abused on my first day. This shouldn't be part normally of the job, right? So he's kind of bringing it to light using humor, and I thought it was actually pretty funny. I didn't think it was disrespecting the patient. I didn't think it was disrespecting the organization, and it was actually kind of funny because, like, we'll continue to monitor. It's such a nurse thing, right? So this idea that we can't blow off steam, that we can't be ourselves, that we can't be human without getting fired is insane. What is another problem? Probably big-ass corporate medicine that paints everything with one policy brush, one HR brush. It's time we actually really thought about that, right? Our organizations should be made of caring, compassionate people who operate locally. And when an organization is like, well, you used our logo wrong and you're fired, it's like, well, that just sets a nasty, nasty feeling for anyone who's going to work for that organization. I don't know what organization it is, but I'm saying right now they probably suck. So that all being said, that's my quick rant about Joshua Strickland. If you want to look at more, check out Jessica Seitz' interview with him on YouTube. He and I connected on email. I think he's a genuinely sincere guy. I don't know about the best judgment posting that your first day of work, but of course I'm guilty of terrible social media crimes in general. So I shouldn't be talking. But again, we do need to think about our professionalism and the appearance of professionalism at all times. If you're down with OPP, become a subscriber here. Okay, follow us. Become a supporter if you want to join the tribe that has an actual paywall and we talk some hella shit, but we still are professional. You can join that. The third thing is we're doing much more stuff on YouTube. Go to YouTube, subscribe, turn on your notifications because a lot of times we'll go live there. We're doing a lot more there. We're trying to make a cross-platform push to transform healthcare using an unfiltered, authentic voice, which is your voice, which we will give you through this platform. All right, guys, I love you. Hit share. We out. Peace.